21 years is a long time. Long enough to watch a kid grow into an adult. Long enough to build dynasties, break records, and rewrite everything we thought we knew about the limits of human athleticism in professional basketball. And sometimes, 21 years is exactly how long it takes for the inevitable to finally arrive at your doorstep. Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report, your number one destination for all the breaking news, insider updates, and deep analytical breakdowns of everything happening with our beloved Los Angeles Lakers. I'm here to bring you the latest developments from Lakerland. And today, we need to talk about something that's sending shockwaves through the entire basketball world. Stay with me because what I'm about to break down has massive implications not just for this season, but potentially for the entire future direction of this franchise. Something shifted this week. Something that many of us have been anticipating for years but hoping might never actually happen. And now that it's here, we need to process what this means, where we go from here, and most importantly, how the Lakers organization should be thinking about the road ahead. Because make no mistake, the decisions made in the coming weeks and months will shape the trajectory of this team for the next decade. This isn't just about one game, one event, or one moment in time. This is about acknowledging a fundamental truth that's been building beneath the surface of every Lakers conversation for the past several seasons. Let me paint you a picture of what's been unfolding. We've watched the league evolve at a rapid pace over these last few years. New superstars have emerged, young phenoms are taking over primetime, and the conversation around who represents the face of the NBA has been gradually shifting. The voting patterns, the media narratives, the fan engagement metrics, they're all pointing in a particular direction. And on Monday, January 19th, during the league's MLK Day coverage, we got confirmation of something that represents a genuine turning point in basketball history. The All-Star Game starter announcements came through, and for the first time since the 2004-2005 season, we're looking at a reality that seemed almost impossible just a few years ago. LeBron James was not voted as an All-Star Game starter. Let that sink in for a moment. 21 consecutive seasons of being selected as a starter, dating back to his second year in the league, has officially come to an end. This isn't just a statistical footnote or a trivial piece of trivia for basketball nerds to discuss on forums. This is a seismic shift in how the basketball world views one of the greatest players to ever touch a basketball, and more importantly for us Lakers fans, it raises serious questions about what comes next for our franchise. Now, before anyone starts panicking or jumping to conclusions, I need you to understand exactly what this means and what it doesn't mean. The voting system for all-star starters is based on a combination of fan votes at 50%, media votes at 25%, and current player votes at 25%. This is a democratic process that reflects how the basketball ecosystem, fans, journalists, and players themselves view who deserves to start in the league's premier showcase event. And this year, for the first time in over 2 decades, that collective judgment determined that LeBron James should not be among the 5 Western Conference starters. The numbers tell part of the story, but they don't tell the whole story. Through Sunday, January 18th, LeBron was averaging nearly 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists per game. Those are still quality numbers, still all-star caliber production by any reasonable standard. But context matters enormously here, and the context includes the fact that LeBron missed the opening 14 games of the Lakers' regular season while dealing with sciatica. That's a significant chunk of the season, and in a voting system that heavily weighs what you've done recently and how visible you've been in the public consciousness, missing those games had real consequences. Let me be absolutely clear about something. LeBron James at 41 years old is still an exceptional basketball player. There's no question about that. The skill level, the basketball IQ, the ability to impact winning, it's all still there. But we're also watching the natural progression of an athlete aging in real time, and part of being honest fans who genuinely care about this team is acknowledging what that means for roster construction, salary cap management, and long-term strategic planning. The Lakers' front office has some incredibly difficult decisions to make, and this all-star snub, if we can even call it that, serves as a clear signal that the league has moved on in some fundamental ways. Think about what this means from a league-wide perspective. The NBA has been LeBron's league for the better part of 2 decades. He's been the central figure, the player every discussion revolves around, the gravitational force that everything else orbits. And now we're seeing a genuine transition happening before our eyes. Players like Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, these are the names dominating the All-Star voting. These are the players that fans, media, and fellow players are rallying behind as the new faces of the league. This isn't disrespect to LeBron. This is simply evolution. Here's where it gets interesting from a Lakers perspective. LeBron still has an opportunity to make this year's All-Star game as a reserve selection in what would be his record 23rd All-Star appearance overall. The coaches will announce those reserves on Sunday, February 1st, and given LeBron's production when healthy and his overall impact on winning basketball, there's a very real chance he gets selected. But the symbolism of not being a starter after 21 consecutive years cannot be overstated. This is a watershed moment, a clear demarcation line between eras, and we need to talk about what this potentially means for the Lakers moving forward. The front office has been in a delicate balancing act for years now, trying to maximize the championship window, while LeBron is still elite, while simultaneously planning for a post-LeBron future. Those two objectives don't always align perfectly, and we've seen some of the tension play out in roster decisions, draft choices, and trade deadline moves. But this all-star voting result might serve as a wake-up call that the window is narrowing faster than anyone wanted to admit. Let's examine the broader implications. The 2026 All-Star Game is scheduled for February 15th at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, which is right here in Lakers territory. The league has completely reimagined the format this year, implementing a round-robin style USA versus World competition, with the goal of having 16 American selections and 8 international players. They're trying to inject new life into an event that has frankly struggled with player engagement and fan interest in recent years. The fact that LeBron won't be starting in this reimagined format feels symbolic. The league is turning the page, creating something new, and the old guard is being phased out. Now, I want to address something important because I know there are Lakers fans out there feeling emotional about this, maybe even defensive. And I get it. LeBron James brought us a championship in 2020, one of the most meaningful titles in franchise history given the circumstances and the decade-long drought that preceded it. He's given this organization credibility, star power, and countless memorable moments. The respect and gratitude for what he's accomplished in purple and gold is absolutely warranted. But being a smart, forward-thinking fan base means we also have to look at the reality of where we are right now and where we're headed. The Lakers are currently in a position where they need to make some hard choices. Do we continue to build around LeBron and Anthony Davis as our co-stars, knowing that LeBron is in year 23 and Father Time is undefeated? Do we start looking at what the post-LeBron era looks like and making moves accordingly? Do we try to do both simultaneously and risk doing neither particularly well? These aren't easy questions, and there aren't clean answers. But the All-Star voting results are another piece of data suggesting that the league has shifted its focus to the next generation of stars. Let me share some perspective on what happened last year at the All-Star Game because it provides additional context. LeBron was selected as a starter for the 2025 All-Star Game, but ended up as a late scratch, citing foot and ankle discomfort. He appeared on the bench but didn't play. Now, whether that was truly about injury management or about a player in his 40s being smart about picking his spots is up for debate. But it established a pattern. LeBron is increasingly selective about when and how he exerts himself, which is completely understandable and probably wise from a career longevity standpoint. But it also means he's no longer the same force of nature he was even 5 years ago. The voting breakdown this year tells us something crucial about how different constituencies view LeBron's current status. Fans, who make up 50% of the vote, are often the most nostalgic and sentimental. Media members, at 25%, tend to be more analytical and focused on current production. And players, also at 25%, are directly competing against these guys and probably have the most realistic assessment of who's truly dominant right now. The fact that this coalition of voters collectively decided LeBron shouldn't start suggests a broad consensus that the league has moved on. But here's where I want to inject some optimism and focus on the opportunities this presents for the Lakers organization. Change, even when it feels uncomfortable or premature, can be incredibly valuable if handled correctly. This moment could serve as a catalyst for some necessary conversations within the organization about roster construction, about role definition, about what success looks like for this team both this season and beyond. Sometimes you need a clear signal from the outside world to force internal recalibration, and that's exactly what this all-star voting result represents. Think about the young talent the Lakers have been developing. Think about the flexibility that could come from restructuring how we allocate resources and playing time. Think about the possibility of bringing in new pieces that complement a different vision of what this team could be. The Lakers are one of the most iconic franchises in all of sports, and the history of this organization shows that we've successfully navigated transitions between eras before. From West and Baylor to Magic and Kareem, from Magic to Shaq and Kobe, from Kobe to the current era, the Lakers have always found a way to remain relevant and competitive. This transition will be no different if we handle it smartly. Anthony Davis is still in his prime at 32 years old. We have assets we can leverage. We play in a market that attracts free agents. The foundation is there to build something sustainable and successful. But it requires clear-eyed assessment of where we are, honest conversations about roles and expectations, and strategic decision-making that prioritizes both short-term competitiveness and long-term sustainability. The all-star voting is just one data point, but it's an important one that should inform how we think about the next steps. I also want to address the elephant in the room. What does this mean for LeBron's future with the Lakers? Does he finish his career here? Does he potentially explore other situations? Does he transition into a different role on this team? These are legitimate questions that fans deserve to think about and discuss. LeBron has been very intentional about controlling his narrative and making decisions on his own timeline throughout his career. He's earned that right. But the business side of basketball still exists, and the Lakers have to balance respecting a legend with making the best decisions for the franchise's future. The good news is that LeBron has shown throughout his career that he's capable of adapting, of accepting different roles when necessary, of being a tremendous leader and mentor to younger players. If the Lakers and LeBron can align on what the next chapter looks like, there's potential for this to work out beautifully for everyone involved. But that requires honest dialogue, realistic expectations, and a shared vision for what success means at this stage. Let me bring this back to the immediate present. We're in the middle of a season where every game matters, where playoff positioning is crucial, where the Lakers still have the talent to make a deep run if everything clicks. LeBron not being voted as an all-star starter doesn't change any of that. He's still capable of impacting winning basketball at a high level. But it does serve as a reminder that the margins are thinner than they used to be, that we can't take anything for granted, and that maximizing this season requires everyone on the roster to step up and contribute. The reimagined all-star format this year is interesting in its own right. The USA versus World concept is designed to create more competitive games and generate more fan interest. The league studied what worked with international hockey competitions and is trying to replicate some of that energy and intensity. Whether LeBron makes it as a reserve or not, the All-Star Weekend will happen. The league will celebrate its current stars, and basketball will continue moving forward. That's just the nature of professional sports. It's relentless in its forward motion, and nobody, not even the greatest players ever, can stop that progression indefinitely. So where does this leave us as Lakers fans? I think it leaves us at an interesting crossroads. We can choose to view this as a negative, as a sign of decline, as something to be defensive about. Or we can view it as information, as data to help us understand where we really are, as an opportunity to have important conversations about the future. I'm choosing the latter approach because I genuinely believe the Lakers are positioned to remain competitive and relevant for years to come if we make smart decisions now. The front office needs to be aggressive in exploring ways to improve this roster. We need to be realistic about rotations and minute management. We need to empower Anthony Davis to be the clear number one option. We need to develop our young players and give them opportunities to grow. And yes, we need to have honest conversations about what LeBron's role is at this stage of his career and how we maximize his remaining elite years while also preparing for what comes next. These aren't easy conversations, but they're necessary ones. I want to hear from you in the comments section below. How do you feel about LeBron not being voted as an all-star starter for the first time in 21 years? Do you think this changes anything about how the Lakers should approach the rest of this season? What moves would you like to see the front office make? Are you optimistic or concerned about the direction of this franchise? I read every comment, and your perspectives genuinely matter to me because we're all in this together as Lakers fans. This is our team, our community, and these conversations are how we process these moments and think through what comes next. The bottom line is this. LeBron James not being voted as an all-star game starter represents the end of an unprecedented streak and serves as a clear signal that we're entering a new era in the NBA. For the Lakers, this should be a moment of reflection, recalibration, and strategic planning. It's not about panic or overreaction, but about clear-eyed assessment of reality and making smart decisions based on that reality. I remain optimistic about this franchise's future because we have the foundation to succeed. We just need to build on it intelligently. Make sure you subscribe to Lakers News Fan Report if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. I'm bringing you breaking news, in-depth analysis, and insider perspectives on everything Lakers every single day. Drop a like on this video if you found this analysis valuable, share it with fellow Lakers fans who need to see this, and let's keep this conversation going in the comments. The Lakers story is far from over, in fact. I believe we're just beginning a new chapter. Let's navigate it together. Until next time, Lakers Nation.